Quick! How many Pokemon have King in their name? If you guess 7, you'd be wrong. It's actually 8. And no, I'm not counting Koraidon either. Today, I will be using a full team of Pokemon with King in their name. If you have an idea for a Pokemon team, be sure to comment below, and I will use it. And if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. Now let's get right into the battles. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, lovely people. Today I am using a King team, and this team was suggested by a King, aka XENON, who is responsible for my layout, so thank you for the team suggestion. And I have 2 really insane battles. Like, this battle right here might be one of the best battles that I've had personally. So I'm gonna knock out that Samurai instantly with the Giga Impact from my slacking. Now, this is a pretty interesting set. I actually have an eject button on this, so in case I don't KO with Giga Impact, I could be able to eject out in case I get hit. So, obviously, since I'm on my Truant, the Scizor is going to be able to set up the Swords Dance versus me. So, I'm just going to knock off its Figgy Berry, which is nice. Always good to get rid of a recovery item. And I'm going to get ejected out. I actually managed to live the +2 Bug Bite. Slacking has a lot of bulk. So, into my Kingdra here. Now, I'm running a Choice Scarf Kingdra. I have Hydro Pump, Surf, Draco Meteor, and Flip Turn with Terra Water. So the Hydro Apple is going to switch in. I'm going to do absolutely nothing, obviously, because it 4 times resists. And I was thinking here, okay, well, I have my Assault Vest Slowking here that I could, well, not my Slowking, my Glowking. Well, it is Slowking, but I like to call it Glowking because it's Galarian Slowking. So I'm going to get Yawned, and I definitely don't want to fall asleep, so I'm going to swap in my Jotonian Slowking. Now, this is my defensive Slowking. Like, I have both Slowkings because there's a lot of King Pokemon that aren't in the game, namely Kingler, Nidoking, and Seaking. So, I had to include both Slowkings here as a compromise. So, I'm going to switch out with the Chilly Reception, and I'm bringing back in my Galarian Slowking. Now, I'm running Ice Beam on this, and I didn't want to get, like, fallen asleep on the turn that I swapped in previously, just because I didn't want my Slowking to be like a sitting hippo or whatever Slowking is. So I'm going to take out the Hydrapple easily with the Ice Beam, but that is obviously going to force me to swap out. And versus this Hisuian Arcanine, which was a massive problem, I knew that I would probably have to sack Slacking. So I'm sacking my Slacking, the interesting rhyme scheme, and I'm going to get taken out there by the Head Smash. Now, I'm going to bring in my Kingdra here. I was thinking, well, I easily threaten this with a Surf because it's 4 times super effective, but obviously they're going to Terrasilize into a normal type, so I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. Now they're absolutely going to live, and depending on what item they are, I could be able to badly live a Head Smash from this, so I'm going to do like less than half with my Surf, and they're going to go for another Head Smash, which they land, and I get taken out. Oh my goodness, I get decimated, so I'm like, okay, that is definitely Choice Banded. So into my Kingambit here. With obviously the Supreme Overlord. Now, I mentioned in a previous video that I would be running a special Kingambit, but I'm not. So I'm gonna go for the Kowtow Cleave versus the Alola Ninetales, which is not really gonna take too much, especially since it gets the defense boost from the snow. But the snow ended, which is great because it wasn't able to set up its Aurora Veil. So I was like, okay, well, I'm actually going to double out here into my Galarian Slowking as like a potential pivot, but they go into their Scizor, so I was like, okay, good, I have Fire Blast, that should easily be able to take it out, but I miss! Oh no! So, yeah, that's really unfortunate because I had to take a hit on my Walking Wake, right? This is obviously Walking Wake has King in its name, right? So, you know, I thought it was like a really good fit. So, the Scizor is going to Bug Bite me. It does a lot of damage. I'm actually running a physical Walking Wake with the booster energy in attack. So, it's really something. I am not running the Hydro Steam set. So, I'm running Terra Water on this, and I'm running a Liquidation, which was pretty much my only way to, like, one-hit KO this Scizor. I have Dragon Dance on this, and I have Aqua Jet and Dragon Claw. So the Scizor is going to get taken out there by the Terra Water Liquidation, and in comes the Arcanine. Now, I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely in range of a Choice Banded Extreme Speed from this, so I'm going to swap back out into my Kingambit. Now, this Kingambit actually is running a Terra Blast Fairy. I wanted to try the Terra Blast Fairy Kingambit, and I'm actually running usually I run max speed on Kingambit, but I'm actually running a more health invested Kingambit. Now, in comes the Alola Ninetales, which I definitely anticipated would want to swap in again, so I'm actually going to double out here into my Glowking. Now, it's unfortunate because a lot of my team is really slow, and like, I wasn't I can't I'm not able to stop the Aurora Veil from being set up. So I'm like, okay, well, it sucks, but I'm at the very least I'm gonna be able to try my best to stall out these turns as best as I possibly can. So I'm gonna go for the Fire Blast. If only I missed. If I missed that Fire Blast, I could have been able to stall out more turns of the Aurora Veil. But they're gonna bring in their own Kingambit, and I'm like, this Pokemon under Veil with the Supreme Overlord, and now it has like a 40% attack boost. I really don't have much switch into this, so I'm gonna get taken out there, obviously by the Kowtow Cleave, and into my own Kingambit. Now, I wasn't sure if they had low kick. Not every Kingambit runs it, so I'm gonna go for the Swords Dance. At the very least, I'm gonna be able to hit them through their Aurora Veil. Now, this is where the battle got really interesting. So, I'm gonna get hit by the Kowtow Cleave. It doesn't seem like they have low kick, so I'm like, okay, that's good. We're just gonna exchange Kowtow Cleaves to each other. And I also have Sucker Punch on this set, obviously. And I'm gonna get taken down to like a quarter of my health, which is actually going to activate my Custap Berry, which I have Custap Berry on this. Now, this Kingambit has leftovers, so it's more of a bulky one. So I'm like, that's a little annoying, but at the very least, I'm damaging it to the point where I should be able to put it in range of one of my other Pokemon. But it's more than likely that I'm going to have to try to outplay the Sucker Punches from this thing. So they're going to set up their own Swords Dance, which is definitely really intimidating. But at the very least, it's stalling out the turns of the Aurora Veil. So, like, I wasn't really, like, super bothered by that. So they're going to go for the Kowtow Cleave and take out my Kingambit. That was like Kingambit Wars going on right there. It was like the shiny versus the non-shiny. So this turn I thought, well, I'm definitely not bringing my Slowking into this because I'm just going to feint to the Kowtow Cleave. I need to just outplay these Sucker Punches. So they are going to go for the Sucker Punch. They're going to reveal that. So I was like, okay, well, this turn I went for the Dragon Dance. I was like, okay, well, I have Aqua Jet, and that Aqua Jet is going to be able to out-prioritize the Sucker Punch should they go for it. So I thought here, well, if I go for Aqua Jet, it's obviously not going to be doing a lot of damage just because of the Kingambit's bulk, but it should dissuade them from going for Sucker Punches in the future. And the Aurora Veil runs out, which is nice. So I'm going to go for the Aqua Jet there, and like I said, it doesn't really do too much, and then go for another Sucker Punch. Oh my goodness. So I was like, okay, well, are they going to go for a Sucker Punch, or are they going to predict me to go for like, or like, I don't know, another Dragon Dance and go like Kowtow Cleave this turn. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for the Liquidation, and I outplay the Sucker Punches. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to take out the Kingambit. That was so important because I definitely lost if I didn't play around that well. So physical walking wake. So obviously the Arcanine is going to come in and revenge KO me with the Extreme Speed, but that's fine because I have a fully defensive Slowking in the back, max defense, and I have Scald on that, and Scald is obviously has a chance to burn. I'm also running a Chilly Reception, Slack Off, and Future Sight on this. It's a very standard Slowking, but I really needed like, it's funny because my Glowking was like my specially defensive pivot because I had an Assault Vest, and this one is my defensive pivot, the Slowking twins. So I'm going to be able to get the burn, and that's going to be all she wrote for this battle because even with a critical hit, the Arcanine is not really going to be able to take me out. So that's essentially going to be the end of the first game. Like, I can't believe it's always so, like, Sucker Punch mind games are always just really exciting to watch because you never know what your opponent is going to click. But when you outplay them, it's like you're on cloud 9, right? Like, so into the second battle here now. Wow, I can't believe I still can't believe I was able to outplay that Kingambit. So into this Galvantula lead now. I was like, okay, well, Sticky Web's inbound. I do have my Choice Scarf, so I'm able to outspeed the Galvantula and break its Focus Sash potentially. So they're gonna Thunder Wave me. So I was like, okay, that sucks because like obviously my Choice Scarf, I'm not gonna be as speedy, and also like they could potentially set up the Sticky Web, but they go for Thunder, but I get paralyzed. No, I could have been able to take it out and deny the Sticky Web. Oh, so that was so disrespectful, by the way. Them going for Thunder, they probably knew I was gonna get paralyzed, low-key. So I'm gonna take them out with the Surf. I was like, okay, well, that's really unfortunate because they have God in the back. So, well, I was like, okay, well, I have a defensive Slowking in the back that I can try to pivot into at the very least, but I knew that this would probably be like Extreme Killer Arceus, so I was like, yeah, it depending on what item this is, I should be able to tank one, which I do, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna try to burn this thing with the Scald. I don't get a burn, unfortunately, so I'm like, okay, well, this is fine. I have some Pokemon here that I could potentially sacrifice, like this Slacking. The the sticky ones were really like, they weren't like the worst thing in the world because I had a bunch of slow Pokemon anyway, like the Slow Twins and Kingambit, but still, it really like hampered like the more speedy Pokemon like Slacking and Kingdra. So I'm gonna swap out my Slowking. I really want my Regenerator so I could like get more HP recovery, and so that I can potentially get another Skull Burn, another chance at the Skull Burn. So I'm gonna get taken out there by the Extreme Speed. So there goes my Slacking. That's another game where I sack my Slacking. Oh my goodness. So I'm gonna swap in my Slowking again. I was like, okay, well, I should be able to badly live a Shadow Claw, which I do. So I'm like, okay, please, 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 burn, 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 burn. And I don't get a burn. Oh, no. So now I have to sack another Pokemon. I have to sack my Kingdra now. Man, this Arceus is really crazy. So I don't normally battle Ubers teams with, like, if I'm not using any Ubers Pokemon personally, but this game I thought, well, I have Pokemon that could potentially, like, handle this Arceus, like this Kingambit. Now, I do have a Supreme Overlord boost because my Slacking and Kingdra are both fainted, so this Arceus is gonna go for a Sword Stance. It probably doesn't have anything to hit me. Like, I was worried that it would have Brick Break, but thankfully it doesn't. So the Cowtail Cleave is not enough to take it out. Oh my goodness, if I had another Pokemon that was fainted, I would have been able to take it out actually, but we're gonna Terrasilize it to a normal type, so I'm like, okay, well, I resist this, but it is an Arceus, so it's going to hurt. It's a +4 extreme speed, and I'm able to live it. Oh my goodness, thank goodness for the health investment. The health investment saved me. So I'm gonna take out the Arceus with the Kowtow Cleave. Now the good thing about this is that I'm actually also in Custap Berry range, so I'm gonna be able to swap out and save this Pokemon for later for potentially a faster threat. So in comes the Gliscor, which is always a fun Pokemon to deal with. Now they're gonna go for the knockoff. I was hoping that they would go for the Earthquake and I would be able to pivot out and like tank the hit, but they go for knockoff, which is a safe play on their part. So I'm gonna lose my defensive wall here, but I thought, well, they have like Pokemon in the back like of the Meowscarada and the Zamazenta, which I didn't think that Slowking would have handled like the best. So bringing in my Galarian Slowking. Now I'm running a Terra Flying on this, and that's gonna help me to potentially avoid the Earthquake if this Gliscor has Earthquake. So I'm gonna Terrasilize here, and I was thinking, well, I'm gonna easily be able to take it out with the Ice Beam. And they go for knockoff, so I was like, okay, well, that's a good play. And they're gonna knock off my Assault Vest. On this set, I'm actually running a Psychic Noise. I'm not running Future Sight on this. I'm running a Psychic Noise, Sludge Bomb, Ice Beam, and Fire Blast on this set. I'll explain all of the movesets in case I forgot in like the little box below. So in comes the Meowscarada. Now this was funny. So I was anticipating a triple Axle, but I really didn't have the best switch-ins, and I figured, okay, my Kingambit is on a low amount of health. I'm probably just going to get taken out, and maybe this is an opportunity for me to set up versus this thing with my Walking Wig because I have Dragon Dance. So they're going to go for the triple Axle, but they get one hit. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's so lucky because I have Custap Berry, and since they're an Ice type and they don't resist my Kowtow Cleave, and since I have the Supreme Overlord boost, it's going to take it out in one hit. Oh my goodness, that was a crazy KO. That was so lucky on my part. So in comes the Zamazenta. It's actually not running the shield, so I'm like, okay, that's really interesting because you know, you hardly really see people using the non-shield Zamazenta online on Wi-Fi, so it's pretty cool to see. Pokemon is like terrorizing OU though, I'm pretty sure. So they're gonna go for the Crunch versus my Galarian Slowking. I imagine that they don't really have much, and if they do have like a substitute Zamazenta, then I could go around it with my Psychic Noise. And judging from the pop-up text there, they had leftovers as the item, so I assume it was like higher defense body press Zamazenta. So the body press is gonna do like almost the same amount of damage as the Crunch, even though it resists, just because this Pokemon has like the strongest body press. So the last Pokemon is the Tentacruel. Now I thought, okay, well, I'm not gonna switch in hard into my Walking Wake. I'm just gonna get as much damage as I possibly can with the Psychic Noise. And if it has Black Sludge, which it does because of the pop-up text, I should be able to handle it easily with my physical Walking Wake. They probably think that they have a good shot of like coming back because of the fact that, you know, Tentacruel is a very specially defensive Pokemon, but I'm running a physical Wake. So they're going to take out my Galarian Slowking, and I'm going to bring in my Booster Energy Walking Wake. Physical Walking Wake is just so fun. I love using typically like special attacking Pokemon and making them physical and vice versa. It's just really fun. It's like the surprise factor is always just there. So I'm gonna be able to get my Booster Energy in attack, and even if this tentacle crits me, it's not even going to be enough to take me out just because of Walking Wake's bulk. And I'm going to take him out with the Dragon Claw. And that's the end of both games. Thank you all so much for watching. And I have something very special planned for the next video. So my name is SkyLaaa. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you all next time.